I've been an entrepreneur for over 30 years, but no one ever talked to me about franchising. So in my head, franchising was chicken, burgers, Subways. I didn't know there were part-time, home-based franchises out there. Someone introduced me to Network in Action, and it was life-changing. You network so that you can change people's lives. You got to show up, not for you, but show up for the people you're meant to serve. Show up for the people in your network, and in return, other people will help you and your business will grow. Now that I understand franchising, I don't think I'll ever start a business again from scratch.
There's a popular saying out there that goes like this: your network is your net worth. No matter what business you are in, your success will depend on other people, and the more people you know and add to your network, the better the position you will put yourself in to succeed. And in this episode, I sat down with Toni Harris Taylor, who is an award-winning multi-unit franchisee. She talks about how she helps entrepreneurs use the power of networking and building relationships to open doors you never would have been able to do without it. We also dive into how to network as an introvert and specific strategies that you can use. Now, for me personally, networking has been a game changer in my career in business. Building relationships with others has really become the foundation of my business. And so my intention for you in this episode is to get exactly what you need to master this area. Now, if you want to buy a franchise in the next 12 months, you should check out my brand new free franchise masterclass at buyaprofitablefranchise.com. And if you want to work with me and my team on finding or buying a franchise or resale business, then you can go to tariqjohnson.com/consulting, and we're happy to see if we can help. With that said, sit back, relax, and enjoy the episode. Welcome to another episode of the Franchise Empire Show. I have Toni here, who I'm really excited to dive into some of the stuff with you. So thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. I am so excited to be here.
Yeah, awesome. So what's interesting is that when we first connected, and you told me that you own a networking franchise, I thought, what the heck? How does that even work? I had no idea that there was a networking franchise. I feel like every day I hear about a franchise that I didn't know was a franchise. So can you give us a rundown? We'll dive into your story a little bit later, but how does that work? How does a networking franchise work, and what do you do?
Well, for me, I didn't know that existed either. In fact, for me as an entrepreneur, I've been an entrepreneur for over 30 years, but no one ever talked to me about franchising. So in my head, franchising was chicken, burgers, Subways, and storefront models. I didn't know there were part-time, home-based franchises out there. And so the way it works is called Network in Action. Network in Action, we have over 100 franchisees. We are just about to open up in Canada and other foreign countries. And as a franchisee, I own 3 groups. With my initial contract, I've now expanded to 11 groups. And
Wow.
My job is to build groups of business owners that bring referrals to each other. Everybody joins Network in Action to help each other to grow. And it is a community for me. My community is a community of love, of diversity, of really being there, community, being there for one another. And I am just grateful that, through networking, surprise, surprise, someone introduced me to Network in Action, and it was life-changing.
Yeah, that's incredible. I remember back in the day when I got my career start in the financial world and financial services. I was a personal banker, and I was enrolled into a BNI group. And I remember going to that BNI group every week for a long time, and it took me out of my comfort zone in so many different ways, because although I have this whole personality, I guess, online. I'm quite introverted. So how do you, what kind of coaching do you tell, introverts or people that may know they may want to or need to network, but the idea of it just terrifies them?
Yeah, I get this question all the time. And the older I get, the more I think I'm an ambivert, which is a little bit of both. And I think everybody has a little bit of both in them. But listen, I just finished my 3-day conference and the theme was love. Okay. And what do I mean by love? Introverts, your business isn't about you. It's about the people you're meant to serve. And what happens with introverts is they're in their head, in their comfort zone, thinking about themselves. You network so that you can get the message of financial services, how you can change people's lives. And so what I do is I coach my clients, listen, you got to show up, not for you, but show up for the people you're meant to serve. Show up for the people in your network. Take the pressure off of you because you're thinking about you and your comfort zone. And so many introverts come to me and say, Toni, you just put a little spin on it different than I've ever heard before. And with introverts, they typically are very much givers and great listeners. So use the skills you naturally have of being a great listener to help other people. And in return, other people will help you and your business will grow. So bottom line, it's not about you. You got to get drastic, which is the word behind me. Get out your comfort zone and, show up for the people you're meant to serve in love.
I love that. You call it a spin. I would call it a reframe. What a powerful reframe in thinking that. Yeah. So interesting. So get out of your head, focus on the people that you're meant to serve and help. And wow, does that not, that shifts everything. Yeah. I really love that advice. So now for some of the people watching or aspiring business owners, some folks that will watch or listen, own a business now. Someone may be thinking, well, I'm not in a business where I need to network. So I guess let's first unpack, who is networking for?
Everybody.
Why?
Everybody. Everybody. And I'm a marketing and sales coach first. That's my primary business. And I don't even like when people say my target market is everybody. But who doesn't need humans for advice? Who doesn't need humans for when times are hard, trying to get you out of it? Every business owner needs community. When you're on a job, your friends are coworkers. We don't have coworkers, especially home-based business owners. So you need community to help you stay in the game. Yeah, everybody wants referrals. I can't think of a business that doesn't need networking. So when you said that, I'm going to throw it back at you. What business were you thinking of?
I wasn't thinking of anyone. I was playing devil's advocate for the people that are listening. Everybody
needs networking. Everybody, even if you have a brick and mortar, you need networking. And that's one of my goals, is to come into franchise systems and teach them how to get outside of the four walls of their brick and mortar, get into the community, even if it's a food business. Don't you want catering contracts? You gotta be in the community to bring more business to you. And too many, especially franchise, if they're brick and mortar, think that it's the franchisor's responsibility to bring the business. And they think that just because they hung a shingle and put up a sign, that people are just going to come. So I don't know a business that doesn't need relationships to grow.
Hey, so I recently put together a list of 5 low-cost franchises that make $1 million or more. If you want to see that list, then click the link below in the description or go to franchiseempire.com/low cost. Let's get back to the episode. Yeah, I completely agree. And what's interesting is I think that, some people may think of networking from one selfish standpoint, right? Which is a gimme. Like, I'm going to go network to see like, hey, what do you have for me? As opposed to with that giving mindset. But another concept is what I've started to learn, and what's happened, at least in my business, is a lot of our talent, our team has come from networking. Most of our team has come from referrals, actually, which is very interesting. And a lot of other business owners that I talk to that are very successful, that's how they'll get a lot of their top talent. It's not by posting a job, it's by connecting.
Absolutely. So again, I don't know of a business that doesn't need networking in some area, even if everybody needs networking, but you're going to find referrals. You're going to find trusted referrals. So every business needs accounting help unless they're an accountant. So you need to have those resources. Networking will find those are trusted people, because when I say use this person, they're already vetted by me. You trust me rather than just going to Google and looking for someone. But yes, growing your team and getting good talent is all about relationships. And I'll tell you a quick story. I have, I do one-to-ones, the networking dating. You and we started with our first date, right? And then you invited me to speak to your group. And here we are with the third date, so to speak. And so I was introduced, somebody found me on LinkedIn. I was introduced to, he introduced me to a young lady. On her profile, she said hiring, that little profile ring, it says hiring. I looked at what she was hiring for. She has a local trucking company here in Houston. My son was unemployed. He has a CDL. Made the connection. He started last Thursday.
Wow. That is incredible. The power of it. Now, so you're not.
And one more thing on that, the power of paying attention. See, what has happened is people, you say, are in a get posture. And while I think she might be a great NIA member, she needed an employee first. I had somebody I could refer her to. So I was in a giving posture. I had my eyes open. And that's the key. Okay, ask your question. I get excited about networks.
I love it. Dropping gems. So, you mentioned that you are a sales and marketing coach as well. You obviously talk to many business owners. I'm curious, what are you seeing right now? Are some of the main reasons that entrepreneurs are struggling?
Mm-hmm. So my new book that I released last week at my conference is Show Up, Be Up, Follow Up to Blow Up. So to answer your question, they're not showing up. When they show up, they don't have good energy, and they definitely are not following up. If everybody took the business cards they had on their desk and invited those cards, maybe not every single one of them, but if you went through and 50% of those cards, you asked for a date and you have a first date online, you tell people what you're working on and how they can help you, ask them what are they working on, how you can help them, you wouldn't struggle. But the people aren't showing up, first and foremost. They are comfortable behind the computer screen thinking posting on social media is going to open the floodgates. It doesn't. And then they're not following up. So that's why they're struggling. They're not in the right rooms with the right people who have a giving posture to help them to grow. They're not helping anybody to grow. They're focused on themselves too much. And then, they're struggling.
So when you say they're not showing up, why do you think that is?
They're introverts and they're making excuses. Sorry. So, or they might even be extroverts. And life is a distraction. When you're a solopreneur or a small business owner, you're working in the business, not on the business. You aren't trusting your team. If you have team, you think nobody can do it as good as you, and you're not delegating. If you're a solopreneur, you're wearing all the hats and you let those distractions keep you from showing up. But showing up is it's so important. And I just can tell you story after story of how when you're in the room, someone will say a little something you didn't know existed, and it can change the game for you. Or you can meet someone who will say, I know somebody, and that'll change the game for you. And so I implore all business owners. I know it's important we work in the business, but we have to work on the business. And part of working on the business is seeing how many people you can help. And I know that's counterintuitive because you need help. But what Zig Ziglar say? You can have everything you want, Tariq, if you help enough people get what they want. And it's the Bible says it. So it ain't just Zig, right? And if you show up with, I'm going to help somebody today posture, and if everybody showed up with that, you'd be on the receiving end of somebody's help.
I love that. That's it's just such a shift, I think, to how because I think most people are in survival mode, right? Just like how do I survive? I know, for my wife and I, my wife and I are both entrepreneurs. We have an 18-month-old, a 4.5-year-old, and life is crazy. And sometimes it feels like survival mode. So it's hard to shift from survival mode to who am I going to go out and help today? Right. And you said, actually, you mentioned that when people do show up, they show up with low energy. Talk about that more. What do you mean by that?
Yeah. So when you show up, sometimes you are distracted. There's that word again, because you got your cell phone in your hand and you're checking email or posting on social media versus being engaging. And, I tell people all the time, we have to flip an internal switch when we walk into an event. And that switch is I'm here, I'm present, I'm on. And I teach my clients how to book appointments on the spot when they're at the event. So you set a goal. I want 5 appointments from this event. So you turn it on, you connect with 5 people, you get 5 dates on your calendar, and you can go home and turn it off. But a lot of times people are thinking about what they left behind. They're distracted because they're on their phone and they're not engaging. And the other thing is they may not have low energy, but they have a posture of being all for themselves. And nobody wants that either. So I really do teach people how to get out of their head and into their heart about when they show up, really being engaging.
Yeah, there's nothing more powerful than presence, right? Like you can feel when someone's present.
Yeah.
You can feel when someone's distracted. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So for like a business owner that's out there right now that's thinking, okay, I'm sold on the idea of networking. I realize that this is important. I will likely make connections for people that will help me solve problems in my business and vice versa. And I can help them as well. Where does that person start? I mean, there's so many different options out there. right? In terms of networking, how do they find the right rooms for them, right? Because it's possible that they show up and maybe they're in the wrong room, right?
Absolutely. Yes. So target market. Who are two things? Where are the people you're meant to serve? So is your target market? And number two, where are the people who already have your target market? So a lot of times people show up and it's just random. There's no strategy. I heard about an event. I'm going to this event. I'm passing out a bunch of business cards, hoping something happens. Rather than saying, like this morning, I was on a call with a lady who is a leadership consultant for school teachers and principals. Well, she really doesn't have any business going to a general networking group, a chamber, for instance. And you might meet one or two people, maybe, but why not be more targeted? So I went to Google and I said, Texas, and she happens to be African American. So I said, Texas Black Educators Associations. Boom. There it is. Organization, Black educators. That's where you need to start. Who is your target market? And go, and if you don't know, work with a coach to find out so you're not networking willy-nilly. So that you are in the right rooms with the right people. Like for me, I want to get more into the franchise space. So my intention is to go to at least 3 major franchise events next year. And I want to maybe be a sponsor at those events so that I can connect with franchisors. Well, if I want to connect with franchisors, I probably don't want to go to a chamber event, a local chamber event. I've got to invest in going to a national event, putting up the sponsor booth, and really showing up where the target market is. So it starts with knowing who your people are. And then the other thing is who serves your people already. So you're a strategic alliance for me. You know franchisors. You know franchisors whose franchisees need networking. I'm
kidding.
Yes. So I'm going to spend time nurturing our relationship so you're comfortable saying, Toni, you need to meet this franchisor. I'm going to make a connection for you. Bam. Because they trust you, they'll instantly trust me until proven different.
Hey, so if you want to learn the right way to own a money-making franchise without putting your family at risk financially, then check out our free masterclass at franchiseempire.com/masterclass. Let's get back to the episode.
And so you were talking about when people show up to these 2 networking events, right? And the whole show up, because you got to follow up. And yeah, that's an important concept. You have folks who meet all these people and it's like, hold on, have you even followed up with them? No. Okay. All right. Well, why don't you do that? But you talked about showing up and having this strategy. So when they're getting in the room, what's the mindset and what is that strategy outside of, I think you were mentioning, hey, have a number of the amount of people that you want to connect to. But when you're going to an event, what's your mindset? What's your game plan as you're going into it?
Yeah. So you specifically are looking for your target market, the people who might serve your target market, and then the connectors in the room. So that's my game plan. When I go networking, I'm looking for those 3 people. So for me, I'm looking for service-based entrepreneurs. I'm looking for franchisors. I'm looking for people who serve those entrepreneurs and franchisors. And then I'm looking to connect with the organizer of the event. This is missed by so many people. So, and I'm also looking to connect. I'm a speaker, so I want to speak everywhere. I'm looking to connect with the speaker in the room. So I'm definitely going to ask for a date with the president or whoever the organizer of the group is. I'm going to ask for a date with the speaker at the group. And then I'm intentional about looking for people who have my people. So when I go in, again, my goal is 5 dates, not just connections, not just business cards. Time out for collecting business cards you ain't going to do nothing with. I intentionally, Tariq, I'm asking, hey, it's nice to meet you. Y'all might want to pause this and write it down. It's nice to meet you. I want to connect with you more to learn more about your business and how I can help you. Would you be open to having a Zoom date, 30 minutes, to learn more about each other? Who's going to say no to that? Everybody shows up to meet people. And so I say, do you have your calendar? Of course they have their calendar on their phone. Let's book it now. And we find a date into infinity to have a Zoom call. I have the systems in place, so I put them in my database. It sends them instantly the link. It's on the calendar. When I leave, I have 5 dates, whether I'm networking virtually or in person. So that's my strategy. Now, I'll talk to you later. We don't have time to talk about what you talk about on the date, but the point is this: never leave another event without a date. It's a waste of time otherwise.
I love it. And right now we're in this culture now where masterminds have become very, very popular. It's like the thing nowadays. Everyone has a mastermind. And so, some are structured in different ways than others. But yeah, I remember years back going to events, trying to avoid as many people as possible showing up to things. You find that one person that you're comfortable with, and then you just like stick with them the entire time. But it's you mentioned this earlier about getting out of your comfort zone. Like, growth and success don't happen within your comfort zone. So if you're comfortable, you're probably underperforming.
Absolutely. My brand's all about being drastic. And I know networking is drastic for people. But when you really get out of your comfort zone, stop focusing on you and focus on the people you're meant to serve, it comes together so beautifully. I have so many testimonies where people, and it becomes not just business, it becomes personal. I had my event last week, and one of the realtors in the room, she had a recurring instance of breast cancer. Well, one of my clients is an oncology pharmaceutical rep. I introduced them. The rep introduced her to her doctor. She stood on stage and said, "This doctor saved my life." I can't make that up. And they both joined for business.
Wow.
I can't make it up.
That's incredible.
That's what network, it becomes family. It becomes life. Like I said, I was networking with this lady online, had our first date. My son is now working with her. Thank God. So change your life. Show up, be up, follow up, and your life will blow up in a positive way.
I love it. Now you're in a unique position where you have what are the businesses that you have? Can you give us a breakdown of
Yes.
what it is that you have and what it is that you do?
Yeah. So my overarching brand is the Toni Harris Taylor Networking Queen. All right. And under that, I have Drastic Results Marketing and Sales Coaching, where I teach entrepreneurs, franchisees, how to get known, get connected, get paid. So I teach networking relationship strategies, and that includes social media, I've made hundreds of thousands of dollars from social media without running one ad. And so I teach how to use relationships to grow your business. Then I have Network in Action, Global Partners. I own 11 groups now. And so I have leaders across the country who are already connectors. They have their own businesses, but they decided to add this lane. income streams so that they can help more entrepreneurs stay in business. And then I have my conference, the Viral Networking Conference, which is amazing. And we come together to learn networking strategies, marketing strategies in love. So those are the three brands under the Toni Harris Taylor umbrella.
Awesome. And so how do you, because there's probably owners out there where they're thinking, I really want to do something else, or I want to start something that's complementary, or they feel like they can't go out there and start another business because they're busy with their franchise or whatever it is. So how do you manage the multiple businesses and like prioritizing? What does that look like for you?
Yeah. So they all go hand in hand. So it's not like I have the drastic results, marketing and sales coaching, and then I'm the Mary Kay lady. That does not go together. So drastic results feeds NIA. NIA feeds drastic results. So if you're going to add another brand to your business, which I believe in multiple streams of income, make sure that it makes sense and that they go hand in hand. Now for me, I own drastic results, and the franchise came into my life, and it made sense for me to purchase the franchise because I was already teaching networking. I just didn't have a place to put them. I would just say, go network. And then, and I was a connector already. So when NIA came into my life, it was a natural fit because so just make sure that if you're going to do multiple brands, that they serve each other. So NIA members become coaching clients become NIA members. It just makes, and then they all come to the conference. So yeah, I actually was thinking about adding another brand as if, but, and I thought about another franchise brand. The brand I thought about has nothing to do with networking or any of that, but it is part of my story. And I was thinking about a moving company. When I tell you I probably have moved 40 times in my life.
Now that's a complex business. That is a very complex business.
It is a complex business. So I'm just thinking about it. I'm not doing it. Actually, I was thinking, no, and the other business I was thinking about is a co-working space. And that complements, right? That complements easily what I'm already doing. So just make sure that if you're going to add another brand, it makes sense and it complements what you already are doing.
Yeah, it's interesting. Actually, I think I saw an ad recently for a co-working space franchise. And
I'm thinking about it. I'm just a little nervous because of the pandemic. I think something else might be around the corner that might, so that's what makes me. And then I kind of want to travel a lot, work from anywhere. So I'm thinking about it, but that makes more sense than a moving company, right? Because a co-working space fits right in to what I'm doing. But I don't think I will ever start a business again from scratch. Now that I understand franchising, which, by the way, we just released another new book, Wealth Building with Franchising. Now that I understand franchising, I don't think I'll ever, and I'm telling more and more people now when they say they want to start a business, I'm asking them, okay, so because I'm a serial entrepreneur, that's also what I've been thinking about is becoming a franchise consultant.
Got it. Interesting. Okay, cool.
Which makes sense because there's not enough minorities hearing the message of franchising. Most minorities think about restaurants and they don't know what I didn't know. And so I've also considered maybe becoming a coach around franchising.
Yeah. Why do you think that is that so many people when they hear the word franchising, I mean, some of the folks that we talk to, and even my director of marketing, he was saying, before I started working with you, I never really thought of franchising as a business. He comes from the online high ticket world. And for a lot of people, you say franchising and they just start thinking about all the different food companies. And so why do you think that is? And what's the solution?
They just need more voices like ours. I don't think the franchise industry has done a good job of sharing the message, especially in the minority community, that there are low-cost brands out there, home-based brands that complement what you already are doing. I just don't think the industry has done a good job. I will be frank and say that when I do go to franchise events, they're predominantly white. And, the IFA conference, they bring 3,000 people and about 100 are brown. And I just don't think they've done a great job of, and I don't think it's on purpose. I just think that they're busy running their business and they haven't given it any thought. So I'm trying to figure out where I fit in to share the message of low cost, part-time, home-based franchises. And I think the other thing is the industry hasn't done a great job of saying that franchises are just small businesses as well. They're your neighborhood, you're your neighbors that own these businesses. And I think most people, when they see franchises, they think big business, but they're your mom and pops, just like everybody else.
Yeah.
So I think we
ahead.
need to do better. You and I, as brown people, somebody's got to cheerlead that and be advocates for it. And I'm thinking a lot, and especially as the fourth quarter is rounding up, what is 2024 going to look like? And how can I help be a champion for franchising?
Yeah, it's interesting because there's a few words that people use, which is, corporate or chains and I think these terms are used without really understanding and defining what the terms mean. They'll say, oh, it's a chain. Well, when you say it's a chain, what do you mean? Is it a corporate chain? Is it a franchise? Are they independently owned? Is it a franchise that has a lot of corporate locations and they have franchise locations as well? So I think it becomes very easy to confuse and not realize that brands are even franchises because they look so legit. I mean, they, all their marketing and the branding is so amazing that people just assume, oh, hey, that's a corporate chain, right? Without realizing, like companies like Ace Hardware is a franchise.
It's a franchise owned by individual,
right? It's so it's so cool. But cool, Toni. We'll drop all of your links and everything. But where, for folks that do want to connect with you, what's the best way to do that?
Meet with ToniHarrisTaylor.com. That's my landing page for appointments. Just book a 1-to-1. And let's just have a conversation and see who I can connect you with. Meet with ToniHarrisTaylor.com.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming on the podcast. Excited to share your message and look forward to connecting more later on.
I am too. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I appreciate you.
Hey, before we go, thank you so much for listening to this episode. Please subscribe here on YouTube if you haven't already. And the biggest thank you that you could ever give me is to share this episode with someone who you think will benefit. That means that we can share this message with more people and hopefully positively inspire them like we have you. So thank you. And until next time, go build your empire.